Hey Victoria, how are you?
Hey, Lyric. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Tell me where you are.
We left New York City early March, and we have a house on Long Island, and so we sort of just packed everything up and came out here. And we're
Yeah,
blessed to be able to have this, so we're here and we're hunkered down for sure.
nice. You had a whole
Yeah.
shop in New York too, didn't you?
I do. Yep. The store had to close down and, had to make those adjustments. And that was kind of the same thing when we decided to move out here. It was, oh, well, I need to take some of my store stuff too. So I actually moved the whole store out to my house as well. So,
Did you hire a U-Haul or just make
no,
trips?
I, I've actually had to sneak back a couple times to do loads in my car to be able to get stuff out. But the building itself in New York City, where my shop is and where my studio is closed, strictly closed.
Mhm.
It's all a small business building, and so they've closed it. And in fact, the guy that owns my building has passed away from COVID.
Oh,
So we're not going in. We're not, there's no traffic. There's no people coming in and out. So
yeah. How
we
are you
just
coping?
here.
Are you doing okay?
Um, you know, I felt like I had to really shut down from all the noise. I know for myself, I was ready to take a break. And so careful what you wish for. This really wasn't the break I was looking for, but having to cancel all my engagements and shows and vending shows and teaching events and things that I was doing the rest of the year um,
And your
was really
schedule
hard to do.
crazy busy, isn't it?
I tapered it down a little bit because now I was going to be taking the whole next year off.
Hmm.
So the fact that now I'm just off and I'm here, in a way, made me feel less guilty of having to cancel those events, but at the same time, a whole new level of stress to figure out, well, how do I keep the business going? Because now instead of having 4 or 5 people on staff, I've got me and I have my gal, my main assistant Kim, who's in Missouri. So we do everything remotely, and some of my inventory is there, some of it's here. So we're juggling every day how to make the business work and manage and keep going. But now that my daughter is doing her finals the end of this week, guess who's on staff now? Because who else have I got? My dogs aren't helping me very much. So,
Does she know this is coming?
yes, indeed, she has. She knows. Yeah, she's willing to help. She's helped in the past. She's very good organizing and doing all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to figure out how that works with 2 people in a very small space,
Mm.
get stuff done, and yeah. So it's been a little stressful, but honestly, I have my tiny little studio. You can see I've got like 3 quilts on top of quilts on one wall because I've only got 2 walls to deal with as opposed to my big studio that I had in the city.
Hmm.
If I could just stay in here and like get all the stuff made that I want to, I'd be okay, I think. I'd be okay.
Is your brain working for creating and making things?
Well, I have a ton of ideas and stuff to get to, but between kind of being full-time housewife again, cooking, or ordering food. Food has been a challenge. I'm the only one that's been leaving the house. My husband's not allowed to leave the house. My daughter's come out a couple times with me. Um, we have small grocery stores out here, and so getting food has been challenging. Sometimes they have vegetables, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they have meat, sometimes they don't. Certainly no flour, no yeast, no, none of the other stuff.
Mm.
So it's sort of, random until I found a restaurant supply place that was willing to deliver out here. So now I've got 25 pounds of flour, 10 pounds of rhurbarb, people. Yeah.
There you
So,
go.
I
And you don't need yeast, you just
oh,
do sourdough, right?
can, but I did find some yeast. One of the stores started buying restaurant supply also so that I can
Good.
they've been parceling about one per customer, like 4 tablespoons at a time of so, I've always kind of been one of those people who like to make everything anyway, but
Hmm.
I really hadn't been doing that much of that because business and creating and
Right.
doing all of this stuff has kept me really busy that my focus has shifted slightly. But so now it's trying to figure out, well, how do I do all of that? And then how do I do all the business stuff? And do I worry about doing new product? I can't. I just don't have the time or the
Yeah.
capacity. And even the things that I feel like I've always been really good at about managing a million things at once, I just can't. I'm having a really hard time with that.
It sounds like most of the people I'm talking to are feeling the same way. I mean, there are people who are totally freaked out because they don't know how they're going to buy food or pay rent. And then even, I mean, I feel so fortunate. My husband's just working from home, no problem.
Right.
And
Yeah.
my gigs have all been canceled, but they just pay for the kids' extracurriculars and camps and all those things, which have all been canceled.
Right.
But
It certainly adds a whole nother level when at a time, empty nest or fewer kids in the house, your schedule, your lifestyle definitely changes. And now it's become something this.
They're all back and they're all here, and I have to be mom again.
Which is
Although
good.
mine have
But
settled
the
in.
balance is hard.
Yeah, but it's really, really common for us to just not have the headspace to function at our normal capacity. I mean, I know you are able to go a million places. I've usually got 12 things on the list right now and do most of them. And it just, everything exploded. And I don't have all these things. I haven't had to lay off employees. I haven't had to still run a business if I don't want to. And yeah, I still can't. I haven't been able to create. I've been making masks, and then I have been like cutting all the little tiny scraps into half square triangles and just mindlessly sewing those together just because I couldn't
feel like you're
making
accomplishing
masks
something
today and just needed to do something that I don't have to think about at all. So
do you feel that sort of knot in you of not being able to just create and explode? And
for me, it doesn't
that
feel
moment?
like a knot. It feels like a dead space. Like it's there and it has a casing around it and I can't get through. I can't access that creative part in me. It's starting to crack open. I'm starting to get ideas again because I think at some point we have to figure this is it, for the next while. We will get out of it. We certainly will. I have
it will change.
Hope and faith, and I think scientists are doing phenomenal work, and we will figure it out and get back to normal, but it's going to be a while, so we better.
It is going to be a while. We don't anticipate being back to New York City because New York City, I think it's, as everyone knows, it's been very bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad here where I am on Long Island as well because half of New York came out here. So that's why we don't go anywhere. We have a yard, the dogs are happy, and that's fine. But we pretty much anticipate that we'll be here the rest of the year. So just settling in and just keep going and figuring out how we're going to manage and do all of those things. How to find a new normal for that and to be safe.
Yeah, I have
it.
appreciated, and I'm so grateful for the technology and for people who are willing to talk with me face to face. I feel so much better every day after I just talk to somebody face to face. I think that's part of how I function too. I get energized by being with people and talking to people, and I'm here in the house with people, but none of them want to talk to me all day. So they have things to do. So I appreciate that we're able to at least do that. Tell me talk about some of the things you've been working on that are behind you. That's a
COVID quilts. So I'm an introvert. I like to hide out and not talk to people. So what I do as a business to go out, it takes a moment for me to realize how much that exhausts me, even though I love that on a certain level. But man, I feel so much better if I'm just at home behind a computer or behind my sewing machine or whatever. So for me, being able to have time to do whatever's in my brain right here, playing that out on my wall, that's the thing that makes me feel like, oh, whew, that sort of exhale of emotion and work it out and get it out of here and onto there. That's I need that. So I think that's why I do a lot that way. It's people joke about quilting being therapy. That's definitely it. But I made 2 COVID quilts. One I started the day that I came out here. That's a big, huge quilt that I'd shown that on Instagram a couple times. That one took me about a month to make. This one I whipped up in probably about a week, but just sort of, this is when one of the ships was supposed to be coming into the harbor in New York. Um, the sort of the take over the load of the
A
hospitals
hospital
and all of
ship.
that, which kind of worked and kind of didn't. And just thinking about all the essential workers that have been going out has just been amazing, and trying to honor that. So adding that sort of aspect to the quilt, and then really all this other stuff is just me in my head and the emotions and the spirals of everything that's going on, and just trying to find an emotional connection to let some of that stuff go.
Is the quilt behind your left shoulder all one quilt?
This is all one quilt. So this stuff is kind of overlaid on top of all the red crosses. Yeah, that's kind of the whole thing.
There's a
That's
lot
on top of another quilt that's over here. So of course I had to start yesterday just because.
just because.
Just because. Like, oh, those are pretty.
Yeah. Well, I think
Girl.
it's really healthy for people to just play. You and I have kind of a lot of the same philosophy where it's okay to just mess around and play. And in fact,
Yeah.
it's really healthy for creatives to, set a timer for 15 or 20 minutes and no expectations, no trying to be good or pretty, just mess around with whatever
Just
your medium is, whatever.
play, push the colors around, find some color palettes you wouldn't have ever thought to use, find a new technique that you haven't used, a way to push yourself and
Right.
instigate ideas. You are the creative. You can create the idea. You don't have to have the idea going into it, but
Right.
using it.
Yeah, I call it bad art. You call it play.
I call it play.
Same things. I work with so many artists who are so afraid of making something bad.
Mistakes.
So I'm like, 15 minutes, set out at the beginning to make something that you call bad and throw it away at the end. Nobody ever has to know. Nobody ever has to see it. But give yourself parameters. Give yourself a little challenge. Like you were saying, find a color palette that you don't normally work with, or say take the idea of tree and do 4 different iterations,
right,
in whatever.
You don't know what you're going to get out of it, and that's why I always think that plaything is great, because I always tell people in my classes, your job is to make mistakes in my classes, because I can't tell you how many quilts started because I made a mistake, because you're like, oh well, look at how that cut up, well I didn't see that coming. You either like it or you don't, so you've either learned don't do that again, or you're like, that was really awesome. So there's benefit to making a mistake, or as you call bad art, or whatever. There's always a good takeaway from that. So you have to be able to be open to be able to do that.
It's the openness, I think. I tell my students
open
that
the creative conversation, keeping that whole thing flowing and not just cutting it off.
Right. That's it. I tell them, if you look at it and go, oh, I'm terrible, then it's a waste of time. But if you look at it and learn something from it, one way or the other, doesn't matter if it's
always
you've learned not that way, or I wonder what would happen if, and you push it a little further. And there's so much growth and learning that happens in that process.
100%. 100%. And, doing that is the thing that instigates more ideas. Because, we have a lack of ideas anyway.
Yep.
But it's true. There's a lot of ideas. They might not all be good ideas, but you sift through that too and pick out some other new good ones. I have to let my dogs in because they're scratching my windows apart here.
Do it.
Oh, hold on.
It just gives us a clear view of all the cool stuff behind you for a minute.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly.
That's fun. That is really fun. Yeah. So
you coming up to say hi too?
Hello, puppy.
Oh, Agatha.
Hello, Agatha.
And little Edith. She's like, don't forget about me.
Say hi too.
They are so happy to be here. They can just run outside and chase the squirrels, and I don't have to get up and walk them. Oh, it's so nice. I can go outside all day long. So they usually keep me busy here and keep me company in the studio, which has been really nice, because in the city, the dogs aren't allowed in my studio in that building. So kind of nice to have them around here.
Aw,
I did ask for getting another one that got shot down pretty quick.
I have so many people who've gotten puppies, and they're like,
I've heard that it's a thing. Everybody's getting dogs. I hope they keep them after all of this too. So
Yeah.
great companions.
the 2 or 3 people that have gotten dogs had been planning for a long time, and this was just like, well, if we're going to be home with them, it's a good time to get them trained, right?
Yes, for real. Oh, you're the needy one. Come here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
He's cute.
So,
Look at that.
she's a good girl. Yeah. So I'm. What is your next big project? What do you think? Are you finding that there's ideas coming? Is there time being marked out on the calendar soon for you to
Did finally
dive in?
pull out. I had started a giant planner.
Ah,
I purchased just PDFs so I could just print them myself, of a planner made for art business people.
okay.
So it has all kinds of sheets of goals to set, keep track of your financials, keep track of your social media numbers, all kinds of stuff like that, as well as weekly, here's space to plan, here's, plan your 3 big things. And I hadn't touched it since we came home. And
Right.
last week I got it out and started writing things down again. And for me, I love having quiet time to just think and plan. That's kind of my favorite part of the creative process, is thinking up ideas more than actually making stuff, which I probably shouldn't say out loud.
No, that's true. But where do you think you do your best thinking? Driving for me is my number one.
I hate driving.
I love it. I get so
Yeah.
many ideas when I'm driving.
Well, I'm always driving children places.
Well, that's true.
So it's not my choice to be driving. I like to just sit quietly. I have a couch over there, I don't ever have one place. I'm in normal life, I'm all over the place with kids. So wherever I have that planner in a basket of to-go projects that's with me all the time. So anytime I'm waiting for them or at their class or doing the things, lately, it's just been sitting quietly. My kids have a hammock set in the backyard. We only
Perfect.
have enough place for one, so people when it's empty, I've started going out there and just, gently rocking and looking up through the leaves. And just, it's like one of the only times that my mind has slowed down and there's no anxiety. And it's, have you heard of forest bathing? I'm like, that's a thing. This is working.
Like just hanging out outside and staring up at the sky.
Yeah, it sounds like a very Northern Europe, Nordic kind of thing, where you just walk through the forest, and it's called forest bathing to wash your mind.
That makes sense.
But since I've started writing things down, I've started having more ideas. I was slow with gigs this year because I have a couple book projects that I just laid down. So I'm just starting to pick up. I have a little critique booklet, but I'm fleshing it out. So I'm turning it into, it's not a novel by any means, but I'm writing another book. Gonna send it out to the editor. I had the cover made before I even wrote the book. I found a fabulous designer. Yeah. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, it's time to get back into that. I think I can maybe start reading words again and thinking, because that was the first thing to go. I can't read words and take them in, but it's starting to come back. So
okay, well, that's promising.
What about
I'm
you?
not there yet.
You're still just swimming,
I'm still just spiraling. I'm just spiraling, deciding, trying to get time to just make stuff, which is where I want to be. But something like this has certainly put a big spin on, what do I want to do? Do I want to keep doing the business stuff? Do I want to just cut back and just do my own thing? Every time I post something, someone's asking for a pattern. I'm like, sometimes I just need to make something that I don't have to have something for an output.
Yeah.
I miss part of that, being able to make something is crazy. Like, this is not something I would ever pattern. That's the kind of stuff I like to make. So, yeah. I'd like to do this too, because after I do that, I need to do this. something that's simpler, easier, pretty, that kind of a thing. So I think I'm just really trying to focus on, what is it I want to do next? I was clearly ready for a break, which is why I was planning on taking next year off. So I'm trying to just really sift through, what does that look like? How does the business change? What do I want to keep doing? Do I not want to do it anymore? Do I want to retire? Do I want to, I don't know yet.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Just kind of tossing it.
And you'll have
Definitely a
enough
good
time.
time.
You'll have enough time the rest of this year to
Yeah.
think about it and figure it out before you have to jump back into anything.
Yeah. So
Because
I'm trying to make the most of the time and also just sort of enjoy being here and kind of letting some of that fear or worry go, because it's very easy to just keep being wound up and spinning around like that. But
yeah.
But I do have some fun projects that I want to do. I had some other goals of some things that I wanted to make for other exhibits and things that I wanted to do. So things that I thought it would take me not till next year to work on. So I'm able to start working on some of those projects that are really cool. I have some commission quilt projects that have deadlines that are still happening that I'm chipping away on every day, and that kind of stuff really instigates.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to tell people before we go? Any advice?
Hire your kid to cut your hair.
It worked for me.
Yes, Beatrice shaved the back of my head yesterday. That was great. I think, just like what you and I do about taking a few minutes every day to do something creative for yourself, because it's, like I said, it is easy to keep spinning and doing all of these things, but that 15 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever you want to do, set the timer. Sometimes that's all you can get is 15 minutes, and that helps feed your creative soul. Sometimes that 15 minutes is going to turn into hours. Great, settle into it and go for it. That's the thing that keeps me going. And I do find that, I work on a lot of different projects at one time, that it actually has been really beneficial for me to do just a few minutes on each project every day. Because all of a sudden it looks like I've gotten a ton done, but I'm just chipping, just keep moving forward. The old Nemo, keep swimming, right? Just keep chipping away on the projects a little bit each day. And then it's not so overwhelming. And two, you still feel like you're accomplishing something.
Right.
And, so that's good. For me, I need to really focus on getting balance between shipping the orders and getting my creative time. Because right now the orders are taking up a huge amount of my time until I get my daughter going.
Until you get your built-in labor.
Yeah.
That's why we have them, right?
The light bulb just went off. That's awesome.
Well, it's been absolutely delightful to see you again and to talk with you. And I wish you health and peace and safety and happiness.
And to you, Lyric, and to all your family. Hope you guys get some warmer weather soon. It's sunny today and this week, but it's still cold here. We're dying for some 70-degree weather, and we have not had it, which is so unusual. I'm tired of being cold.
We have actually had that delightful 70-degree weather for several weeks, and usually we get 1 week of that and then we're up to 95. So we're loving it, but I hope you get warm soon.
Yes, thank you. It's good to see you, dear. Take care.
Good to see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.